All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Legend of the Three Kingdoms. Yes, this is one of my custom homebrew D&D campaigns set in my weird, messed up homebrew world, and the people below me have realized that I need massive amounts of help that they can't give me, but they support me in my attempts to work through this. Um, Finally got to talk to my therapist after like 3 months of not having one, so I'm good. Um, Things are just gonna get weird from here on out, guys, and I'm gonna real quick just adjust something so I'm not lopsided in my picture. All right. Um, Quick announcement. I'm trying something slightly new. Bundle of Holding is a really cool website where they will have bundles of RPGs where you can generally get like an entire RPG system. A lot of times with like most of the supplements and everything for like 10 or 20 bucks. I am a huge fan. They just started a new bundle for the RPG Mutant Year Zero. It started on Monday. It is good until the 27th of June, which is a little over 2.5 weeks away. So check it out. I actually made a review of the first core book for Mutant Year Zero. And it's on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/JoJoTrainerJody. Check out the review, and then if you want it, to get the core book and a couple extra things, it's $10. But if you go up to like $20 ish, a little over, you can also get the first expansion, which is effectively its own additional core book, and a couple other things. And then they have another bundle for another $20 that gives you two more core books. So for basically about $40, you can get 4 complete RPG systems that are kind of interchangeable, and a bunch of other shit. So, which is less than it costs to buy a single physical core book for the system. So, and they're all PDFs. So I like PDFs. Anyway, I'm in no way sponsored by Bundle of Holding. I just like I collect RPGs, and getting them cheap is fun. So anyway, I think it's time for us to return to the legend of the Three Kingdoms. Now, because of recent events in the US specifically, I do want to put up a slight content warning. The reason we did not play our last scheduled game was because it happened right after a pretty bad tragedy in Texas, where I'm not going to go into specifics, but quite a few children lost their lives. Because we had just dealt with a situation of a child losing their life in game, we thought it was best to wait a little bit, give a little bit of time for people to grieve and work through their emotions. But the consequences of that action and the fact that a child lost their life in our game is going to be something that the players are going to deal with today, however they decide to deal with it. So if that is something that you feel might be something that you can't handle right now, feel free to skip this episode. Again, at the beginning of every episode, I always give a little recap of the stuff that's going on. So if you have to miss an episode, you're not going to be super far behind. And always understand, knowing what your limits are and knowing what things are going to cause you to go into a dark place that you don't want to go is a strength. Never, ever, ever let anyone convince you, including yourself, that knowing your limits and staying away from things that can cause you personal harm is some sort of a weakness. It's not. It takes an incredibly mature and well-adjusted person to know what they can and can't to deal with, and it makes you a very strong person. it's very, very easy, especially for people like me that suffer with depression and anxiety, to blame ourselves and consider ourselves somehow broken because we can't deal with things that other people can. Everybody has things that they can't deal with, and knowing what yours are takes a lot of work. And actively taking steps to protect your own mental health is very, very difficult, and you should feel very proud if you can take those steps. So, that being said, let us return to the legend of the Three Kingdoms. The Major Domo is no longer a threat. The party went through a fairy tale forest and eventually came to a party. Vala met someone she had not seen in years, her uncle. And not only did this uncle know her, but knew things that he couldn't have known, because they happened after Vala had ended contact with him. As they got to the center of this party, they found the Major Domo, but he was very different. His accent was gone. His formality was gone. He was sitting on a dais with a table and 6 children who had collars that were chained to him. The party very soon found out any damage that was inflicted upon the Major Domo was transferred to one of the children, one of which was Vala's sister. Through quite a few different, rather ingenious plans, the party was able to remove the danger from most of the children, though in the middle of the fight, Argenta went to one of the children and killed it in cold blood. After dealing with that, they were eventually able to get the Major Domo down to being almost defeated, and then Major Domo unleashed an attack against Liliane that should have killed her. But what happened was a deal with a demon. Argenta, who had already paid a rather significant price to resurrect Liliane previously, was brought back to that bargain, and the Major Domo was given a choice: take an offer or refuse it. When he refused, the offer was changed, and the Major Domo lost all knowledge of his life and memories. In Cruciatalia, not knowing who you are, not knowing what dangers to avoid, is effectively a death sentence. And the Major Domo wandered off into the deadly, mist-filled forest, possibly never to be heard of again. Vala was able to reconnect with her sister, who now aged to the correct age she should be, and reconnect with her uncle. 2 pieces of her past that she had severed for their own protection, and had come to realize that perhaps were much more important to her than she originally thought. The rest of the party, however, had other things to deal with. And that is where we return. So, the rather large bonfire that I believe Liliane or someone was able to extinguish has been somewhat rebuilt. It is not the massive pillar of flame it was before, but embers of it have been used to start a number of different campfires and things like that for people to warm themselves. A few people have gone out because after the Major Domo left, they discovered the feast that everyone had been eating was not food meant for consumption. And so a few people went out into the woods and came back with venison, rabbit, other various game, and started cooking mostly stews and the things like that to make it last as long as they could. So people are sitting down and eating, coming to terms with the fact that they are now back under their own control. And the party itself has their own little fire that they can sit around. What would you all like to do?
I think to start with, I think the first thing, Rowan would have been very quiet for the first portion of this. I think the first thing he would have done would have been to treat Vala's uncle, because initially from the previous session, under the control of the Domo, he had taken a swing and bashed himself. He'd broken his hand pretty severely. I think the first thing he would have done was treat him, but he would have been like, I think he actually would have been. Rowan is already normally kind of quiet and used to himself. He's just like, here, let me treat you, and he's kind of like very going through the motions.
Question for you. By treat, do you mean like wrap it and things like that?
Rapid, because he has his supplies. If he needs any healing, I think he can actually.
Because the difference is going to be if you set his hand, that isn't even going to be a roll. You are familiar enough with medicine and things like that you can just use your healer's kit and kind of wrap his hand and set it so that he doesn't do any more damage. If you want to actually fix the broken bones and things like that, that would require at least a level 1 cure wounds. So
I think he will surmise. I think he'll go through that medical treatment and surmise, and I think when he realizes like, oh well, that's a little bit more severe, he'll actually drop a level 1.
Okay. So, yeah, Vala's uncle has full use of his hand back. He did 100% shatter a couple knuckles and break a couple of his metatarsals.
As I see this happening, I will go over and kind of set my hand on Rowan's shoulder.
He kind of not. It's nothing personal, perhaps. It's more reflex than anything else.
Right. And I will just say I have to apologize for both of you. Uncle, this is Rowan. I know I introduced you before. You had a bit of a reaction to him, and I needed to take advantage of that to free you. We are not involved that way.
He looks at you confused, goes, all right.
I told you I was having his baby.
I'm going to be totally honest here. I don't remember most of what happened. It's bits and pieces, love.
You seemed to like all of my friends, except him. Once you found out he was connected to the Dark Lady.
Rowan not looking at Vala at all. Like, he's just going through the motions of the hand, checking it out, making sure. It just goes like, that was because of the Domo.
I remember. I don't remember conversations, but I remember a burning hatred of him. Beyond reason, even. It just was there.
I mean, I've known you long enough. I knew that wouldn't come from you. But I wonder what it is about the Dark Lady that was channeled, that the Major Domo feared so much, or hated so much, that it was channeled through you from him?
I took away his toys.
Seems you got yourself a right smart fellow here. You may want to listen to him a wee bit more. And he kind of turns to you actually after you cast his like, thank you, incredibly. Leanne's gonna be fine. You can go ahead and deal with someone else. It was my own damn fault for getting it broken in the first place.
It wasn't your fault at all. I need you to remember that more than anything else. You'll get up and you'll see. He'll probably tend to someone else for a bit before he'll join the group.
Okay. And there's plenty of people. There, not a ton of people were physically hurt in this scuffle, but there are a lot of people that, due to just the experience of having your will completely taken away, there are plenty of people that are willing to speak with Relwyn, and you have no shortage of people that are complaining about aches and pains that you realize are mostly psychogenic in nature.
I would also imagine being forced to celebrate even when you don't want to celebrate anymore, because maybe you're exhausted. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're not meant to drink as much as you were forced to drink under the situation.
A lot of them are dealing with like muscle strains and things like that. A few of them have like mild cases of alcohol poisoning just from celebrating too much. So all of those things are things that you are more than comfortable dealing with and treating.
The one thing Rowan will take, he'll see to people, but like they're, aside from, there actually was a couple of children that had been lost, but there are no traces of them due to how the encounter had happened via the chains. But there was also the matter of the treasurer was had died as well, so he's taking steps to lay him to rest, and I'm sure someone else will see to actually bury him. But he's going about the business of like
last rites and
last rites.
And I would be happy with that for the treasure, the child, and
they're
anyone else who doesn't remember how many.
They're even the ones that even the kid that was drained. There is still a corpse. It is just desiccated.
Yeah.
So there is something to bury.
Well,
I remember it being said it was desiccated at first. But when the child died, I don't know if that was as a result of the chain enchantment, but there was nothing left.
You know, it's very possible that's how I described it, and if I did, then yes, there wouldn't be a body to bury, which would be another thing that again, your background and the idea of not having a body to bury is another thing that I would assume you have dealt with before, and it is an incredibly painful experience for people. Not only to lose a loved one, but to not have something to say goodbye to. So that's another thing that you could deal with.
Well, where Rowan is from, sometimes it's lucky if you can bring back a body intact. A body intact.
Yeah. So
we're
again,
this village.
All the experiences of these people, you are very, very familiar with them, and are being able to help them extensively in ways that other people couldn't.
If he had the opportunity, I think he does take stock, and I think he kind of shakes his head a bit and realizes he's openly practicing, which he's taken a very long time to keep this all tamped down and not let on that he's had this ability, let alone that he's I know one of the other major cities does allow worship of the Dark Lady. I don't know what the situation is now. But he's actually been very openly using his powers in front of people, and I think he's that's registered for a minute, and then he's gone back to helping people as best he can.
So, while all this is happening, Lillian is obviously we're gonna try this again. Lillian is obviously helping. Argenta, we haven't talked about what you're doing at kind of the beginning of this. What would you like to be doing?
She's probably going to be sitting apart from everything that's going on, and is just sort of kind of she's looking at it, but is also like not fully in the situation at the moment, but she's just kind of going through the motions of taking care of Fury.
Okay. So, after about, let's say, a good hour, you've helped. You're getting to the point where, Rowan, you have realized you have helped as many people as you can tonight, and pushing yourself too much farther is not going to really improve anyone. And people are starting to, spread out and find campfires, get food, and kind of deal with their own grieving processes. So after about an hour, you finally have the ability to head to your own campfire. There's a little bit of stew waiting there for you guys. And someone was actually able to find some bread rations that were actually edible amongst a few of the townspeople. So you effectively have hardtack there as well.
I think before he realizes he can't do anything else, he will just. That's for the first time in probably over an hour. He looks back. He looks to Vala, Liliane, and then glances over the campfire where Argenta says, like, and no, just very pointedly, we need to talk.
Yeah.
Just turns, doesn't wait for a reaction before he goes over to the campfire.
I will go with Rowan. And I'll say everything.
I'll follow along.
Okay.
Rowan's very quiet for several minutes as he's just looking at the fire. Doesn't sit. Make sure he's not. No one's like. We're like you said. We're pretty much isolated from the rest of the people, right, Jody?
Yeah. You guys are far enough away that unless you speak really loud, most people are not going to be able to overhear what you're saying. And even if you do, everyone else is dealing with their own stuff. You're relatively certain that you're going to be given privacy.
I want to be perfectly clear. I want to leave you, each and every one of you. I can't. It's not an option. Glances at the people and then comes back. No one can cross over. People that died today cannot cross over until whatever has been done is dealt with. Every person that dies suffers. They are not allowed peace. That is why I have not left. Because I don't have a choice in the matter. I'm committed now. Several people were lost, and I understand some things were in the heat of battle and decisions rash and reckless. We're very unfortunate, and we have to live with that. When he looks up, he looks dead at Argenta. But one could have. That does not happen again. Ever. Just looks back down.
Give me a moment.
So after Rowan says that, this kind of silence falls over the group. The kind of silence that you can feel on your shoulders, holding you down. Every breath that you take feels thick as it goes into your lungs and fills it. It hurts a little bit to force the air in and to breathe it back out. Again, gives you this strange feeling of strain as just existing after the weight of such an important thing feels wrong. Go for it.
No. Argenta just kind of looks at him. You don't know me. You don't know them. Listen, I haven't had a choice in my life since I was born. I was orphaned, adopted by a mercenary company. I was raised in war. These people, and she's looking at Lillian and Vala, are really all I got left. I died and watched people die helplessly for years before I came here. I will do anything to protect them. Even if I'm damned afterwards. She just goes back to cleaning the gun.
I'm sorry for any pain you have suffered in your life. None of that justifies what happened. I don't have to know you to know that that's not going to happen again. That we are not going to take an innocent life to justify an end goal. I could threaten. I could give an ultimatum, but at the end of the day, as I said, I don't really have a choice because we have to stop this and we have to allow people the chance to pass over. We have to correct this. So the thought of laying down a threat or an ultimatum in such a manner wearies me. We are going to have to rely on one another. That includes us all working together when times are the toughest. I have no intention of aiding a serial killer, if that is what this is to become. We have to rely on one another.
I got one more I have to do for the contract guy. Take it up with the Shadow Man. It's not my choice.
But
There is a
What
choice.
contract?
I look at Vala, you know.
well,
I suggest you do your best to figure out your contract.
The contract man, the one that brought Lillian back to life, the one that I made the deal with, the one that said I had 3 tasks left to do. I performed one during the fight. He didn't tell me until about 20 seconds before I did it.
but Argenta, I think you can bargain with him. I think he wanted me to take your life. I refused, and now I have to punish you.
His words were that one of the children had to die by my hand. And if I refuse, then what? Lillian just drops dead. I'm cursed.
I'm just saying, next time that happens, there may be another way.
Do you do that for me? Is what you're saying. To spare me.
When you died underneath the house in the sewer, your father he called upon the Dark Lady. The Dark Lady didn't answer. The shadow thing answered. and I offered it my services because it said it could bring you back, but it needed a deal. And that was when I was made aware that it would call upon me to do 3 tasks, after which our deal is complete and you would live on. And I accepted that because what other option did I have? We didn't have Relwyn back then.
Well, what would I be you knowing me for quite a while now? What is there anything that would have told you that didn't even what I would have? That
I,
certainly went there it was my life.
I mean, did you want to die here? Do you want to die before we get back? We don't even like this entire place confuses me. I can't use my portal sense or else it nearly drives me insane.
I mean, no, that obviously would have been my first choice, but given the choice between my life and the life of an innocent child, yeah.
And there's no way I could have predicted that it was going to tell me that task.
Well, I mean, it makes a deal with being that we know to be evil is not doing who I you can't ever move to your power.
Well,
I
we
mean, is it? It's kind of like, listen, this whole place is evil. It doesn't really matter what we make a deal with. There's the Dark Lord, and now there's Shadow Guy.
okay.
And it seems like anytime we deal with death, we're going to have to deal with Shadow Guy now, like it or not.
Yeah.
We have to draw a line somewhere, and I think Rowan's right. We lost too many innocent lives today. This entire, all the death in the city, all the death in this entire place. I understand we have to do things that we may not like. We have to draw a line somewhere.
I have seen more. I have seen many, many people die. The first 9 months I was
We
here,
all have.
the first 9 months I was here, I think along with myself, at least 10 people died a day. I don't exactly know how he's keeping this place populated, but I don't think it's the normal way.
Will be a bit of my father to be a servant is pulling something from our place.
Well, I thought of an interesting experiment I may have to try later, but again, we've all seen some very distasteful things. I've had to do some very distasteful things. We have to draw a line somewhere. And I don't think taking the life of an innocent should be a questionable gray area, if it can be helped.
Yeah, I mean, my brother said, stay out in the combat. there are situations where I just have to provide a statement at it, but that was intentional and complex.
Argenta just kind of raises her eyebrows. I can promise to make a better deal in the future. But as it stands now, I have one more that I have to do, or else it'll fuck us all. I don't know what he's going to ask for, and there are times where there's just not a lot of time to question it. I cannot tell you what will happen for that last one.
Just know, no matter what, we all have your back.
Be careful.
I am grateful for what you did to bring me back. I appreciate it. But that is a life that going away on my continent at my end of the now. And I think we're both going to have to figure out how to do it in our own way.
Again, an uneasy silence falls over the group. The weight of what has happened already and what may happen in the future has settled on all of you.
I will take a moment and take out my warlock symbol.
Mm-hmm.
I think Argenta and Lillian would have seen it. It's it was like a red glowing piece of quartz wrapped in like copper or brass formed into a necklace, but now there's no glow to it. It's almost inert. And I will kind of look to Relwyn and say, I want you to know, to bring you back, I had to use the last bit of Celeste, my patron.
That's who she was.
Yes. I met her a long time ago, and for the longest time, I actually thought she was the Dark Lady.
I actually thought that myself when I came back.
She, originally the Dark Lord was using her power, and she somehow fought him off enough to give me a chance. And, we freed her. And then when all of this happened, she got sucked in here with us. She gave her last power to help bring you back. There's another one that we have to avenge. We have to find her before the Dark Lord does. And he either stops her or imprisons her again to siphon off her power. I think he may have been studying her power and used that to help create this place. I don't know.
Is that our next objective in all this?
I don't know where. I don't even know where to look.
Looks back at the forest and it hasn't exactly stopped us before.
There is one thing I could try. I've read about it. I don't know if it could work. I don't even know if I should try it on her or someone else, but I think I have an idea to at least see if I get an idea of who she is. I guess she may not even be who I remember she is. She may not even remember who she is, at least in this form.
If I had more of my connection, I could have done that. I would have had an option myself.
Or we take out another general and weaken the Dark Lord's power. That may help restore your connection. That
Is
may...
it possible that that's possibly two objectives that coincide? If if your friend's as powerful as it would appear, perhaps a general is watching over her.
I don't know that the Dark Lord knows where she is. A general may be watching over her, but they may not know it. She could be serving as a washing dishes in a kitchen somewhere. But
Okay, I feel when it comes to your connections, it has to do with. I wish he'd give us something to call him by, but Shadow Guy, I think, is trying to keep them at bay.
yeah, he has said oftentimes that the Dark Lady has no power here, that he's replaced her. I don't like him at all.
It doesn't.
Oh, I don't like it.
It doesn't
Trust
feel
me.
entirely true. I think I can feel that. How can I explain? It's like there is a tube and it's been kinked. If that makes a sense of the flow. I can do things, obviously, but I've never been able to do the things I have. But I also am very limited. It takes a great deal of effort to access other things.
The Dark Lady can't connect to this entire place. But there must be some crack, some
I think part of
sliver
it
that
is-
she can get through to connect
think-
to you.
I think part of us, well, Liliane as well, I think two of us are examples of connections on this side.
So we need to restore the connection to the Dark Lady, overthrow the Shadow Man, defeat 3 more generals,
We've only beaten one, so yes.
and find and free Celeste, and then overthrow the Dark Lord. See, we're making
Yeah.
plans. We're making plans. It's just one foot in front of another. You know how you eat an elephant. One bite at a time.
Yeah.
So what should our next steps be?
I'm not sure. I mean, it's probably pretty known where each of these servants of the Dark Lord are. Probably in cities, but it just depends on what city.
Right. We know this city's clean.
I mean, where I was tortured, she just kind of raises an eyebrow and looks up from fury. I don't know what you call it, but there's the dwarf that ran the inn was pretty suspicious.
It's as good a place as any to start.
If he never did kill the general that was running the court that I was in, he's friend.
The one on the dragon,
Yeah.
right? And
I believe he was a major.
yes. And then I remember Commander talking about the city that he was placed down near. Something about his siblings were there.
Yes. Well, that's definitely 3 possible leads.
Yes, the dwarf at that inn, he always seemed too friendly, if that makes sense, too willing to let me stay.
So he was
Yes,
trying to keep you
friendly
close.
people in this world are not to be trusted.
Like we're being watched.
And I think Rowan, this would have been the first time you've seen this one, but the rest of you recognize an old woman. She has a larger than average deck of cards that she seems to be kind of shuffling and fumbling with. Never quite trusted those that seem overly kind in this world. They always seem there's something wrong with them.
This is not a kind world.
You are very right about that.
Would you like some stew?
Oh, I've eaten already. Had a rather delicious meal just a little while ago.
Hmm. Anyone we know?
A lady doesn't kiss and tell.
Hmm. Well,
I'm sorry.
well,
Do you know one another?
well,
She's a
we've met.
fortune teller that just kind of appears.
Yes, Rowan, you probably don't remember speaking with me, but I've been watching you for quite some time.
It never
Out
gets any less creepy.
out of character. Does Rowan remember? Because I know I don't remember.
Yeah,
But does Rowan?
Rowan has never had a conversation, but due to the fact that I don't have your backstory in front of me right now, she will make mention of a few things. Like she'll describe situations like the first time that you used your abilities. She describes it perfectly with details that no one else would know unless they were there.
Yeah, and
And
the only people that's ever she's treated there's been no mention of her in Rowan's
Mhm.
backstory if that's what you're recalling.
Yes.
I saw the only thing Rowan ever remembered would be the people he's helped one way or the other, and Talbot.
You do eventually start piecing out, as she mentions a few of these situations, you do eventually start piecing together in your memory, and you don't know why you didn't remember this previously, but you remember seeing her in situations normally just before something big would happen. You know, something kind of life changing for you. You'll kind of like get this deja vu thing of, oh yeah, I remember seeing her right before the first time I healed someone, or I remember seeing her, like an hour before I realized that the dark lady I had been told about was not the dark lady I was serving.
You didn't live at the village.
No, but I do get around. You're a very special man, Rowan. Understand that. Very, very special. You are probably the most special person in this entire group.
Vala just has this look like, oh look, I can cast 7th level spells.
Actually, that's 8th level spells now. Want to see a sunburst?
So, it seems that you've done something that the Dark Lord thought was impossible. Congratulations. Doing the impossible is quite an enjoyable thing. You should be feeling very good about yourselves right now.
Yeah.
I don't think that's something I'll be used to quite yet.
Well, hopefully it will be more of a regular occurrence soon, seeing as you still have, well, technically, you've got 4 generals left, but one of them, well, 2 of them are really one. They never venture very far from each other, and they kind of share the power collectively. And then, of course, you still need to find your things. And those are in many places, and then no one's even mentioned Demise Tower and what secrets may be hidden there. Really is fascinating to see how you work.
Do you say Demise Tower would be a good next step?
I would never, ever take the position of telling you what to do. That would be unethical at the very least, and improper.
But
Demise Tower itself is a terrifying place. There are things there that cause fear in the heart of someone thought to be fearless. The most terrifying things in all the land are kept in Demise Tower.
terrifying to who?
That is a very good question.
Thank you.
You're very good at that, asking questions. Getting the answers, a bit hit or miss, but the questions are always very good from you.
That's a place to start, at least.
Well, it'd be a horrible wait if it was in the reverse.
Life would be so much more boring. Just had all the answers.
But you didn't know the questions they went to.
I do agree. Answers are rather boring. It's much more fun to find more questions. And answers that give you more questions, well, those are just the best.
Speaking of which, I'm sorry. What is your name?
Oh, focusing so much on names and titles and formality. Why, a name is a thing. A wise man once wrote, "A rose by any other name would smell as sweet. So what matters what I call myself or what you call me? The real thing you should focus on is our relationships. Connections that you have with other people. Those are the real defining features of the world."
That is very well said, Edith. Very well said.
I like that name. It's as good a name as any, so you may call me Edith. I would hope, though, we eventually move beyond the need for formal titles. We have been through a lot together, and more likely than not, we'll be through a lot more before this is done.
He is very good. I mean, you said a few minutes ago that it was, and it was a true time. When it was you.
Sorry, I missed that. Sorry. Can you say it one more time?
You said that it was people were too tired. My baby, you probably been wasn't encouraging people becoming you.
Lillian, you may be the most clever of anyone here. You bring up a very valid point. Why should you all trust me? And to be perfectly honest, I can't give you an answer. See, that's the thing. Relationships are built upon trust, and, well, if you don't trust someone, there really is no relationship. So you all need to decide, what is our relationship?
I don't know. I kind of put you on the same level as the Shadow Man and the Dark Lord, and unlike the Shadow Man and the Dark Lord, you're not actively trying to fuck us.
She hasn't exactly steered us wrong yet. In fairness, she hasn't steered us directly towards anything. Just given us some information and let us stumble around on our own. But it has worked out so far.
All very valid points. It must be so fascinating to be you right now, to be thrust in the middle of confusion and have no idea what is real or what is a lie, and then to just have to blindly pick what you want to believe as opposed to what is true. What an exciting life you all lead.
I suppose that's one word for it.
I do so love these little catch-up sessions. We should do them more often.
I think at least knowing that you've been around for as long as you have, and knowing that you've been keeping such a close eye on us, I think the fact that we're still having these little chit-chats shows that we're in the right direction, hopefully. At least we still matter.
You will always matter. Never let anyone tell you otherwise.
I mean, we matter in the overthrowing of the Dark Lord.
Oh, you matter much more than that. One day I hope you come to realize that.
Oh. I was gonna say, Relwyn, have you ever had somebody read you fortune?
Never really had the need to before.
Well, you are long overdue for it then. Allow me to show you. And you see her kind of take the overly large cards and shuffle them much faster than you think should be possible with the size of her hands and the size of the cards. And the cards themselves look incredibly stiff, almost to the point that they look to be made of something other than cardstock. And she does that. You watch her kind of move her hand over one, take it down. Your fate is very important to you, as are the fates of others around you. She draws another card. You seem to be singularly important, like a shining star, bathing the world in light, guiding people to an end goal. But beware the star that shines too bright. But just as a star may guide the way, too much light can blind, can impair, can prevent you from seeing what is in front of you. She picks up the cards, puts it back in the deck. You should really try the stew. I hear it's quite lovely. As you all kind of glance at the stew, you all look back and she's not there.
She likes to do that too.
I had a feeling she was going to do that. I did it anyway.
Although to be fair, it is a lot of fun. Back in my vigilante days, there was a Swan City I would work in, and there was a one of the guardsmen. He was like a captain of the guards. I used to meet with him, help him solve some disputes every now and then, and I would love to do that to him. Like, he would just be talking, he would look over, and then I would like duck behind something, and he would look back and I'd be gone. It was so much fun. I think his name was Gorgon? That doesn't matter. Anyways, yeah, she claims to have been around when the Dark Lord first created this place. So she knows some of its secrets. But she will never just come out and tell us, you know, what we need to do, or how to proceed, or even directly answer any of our questions. I don't know why she can't, but you know their type.
And Rowan looks like, not at all.
But I do think she was trying to tell us we need to check out that tower.
That's what I was getting to.
Yeah.
Have I ever heard of this Demise Tower?
Yeah, Demise Tower is a prison. It is in the center of a lake. It's just south of Scornmote, and no one has ever gone in. No one has ever come out of it. But it is. It's been told to everyone that the worst of the worst creatures in existence were trapped in Demise Tower, and there is only one jailer in the tower. It is a single guard that neither eats, sleeps, anything. Is just permanently guarding and preventing these creatures from leaving.
Given my former position, I never sent anybody there, did I?
You didn't have the authority. No one has the authority. The only person that could ever send someone to Demise Tower is the Dark Lord himself.
Got it.
And you, the entire time you were in Ilmorn, it was never even brought up, the idea of sending someone to Demise Tower. The I would say when Argenta, when you and Commander made it to Meisenford, and Relwyn probably you as well, there was probably some questions as to why the creature that kept killing everyone around Meisenford, why it wasn't locked up in Demise Tower, because it was so powerful, because it was impossible to stop it.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Relwyn, you might even, when you were a kid, you might even have heard rumors that, or not a kid because it was relatively recent, but when it first started, you might have heard rumors that it was something that escaped from Demise Tower.
I'm just wondering if the Dark Lord lets all sorts of nasty things run around here and cause suffering. Why would he lock any monsters up? I'm thinking,
What if it's monsters?
what if they're not monsters? What if they're dissidents? Or
What would it be? The resident of the radio other powerful beings that might challenge him.
So, hmm.
What would be the most marvelous thing you can think of innovators that thrive on suffering and being that create the opposite of suffering?
Could it also be possibly created monsters so horrible that perhaps they're ones he can't control?
I mean, that awful
I don't know.
possibility.
I don't know why they would be here though. He has created this world. This world is his.
I mean,
If
they
they're
could have just sucked in the wrong thing.
yeah, but why keep it here? Why not let it go?
Well, if what I understand is true about the suffering, you can't wipe everyone out. If the monsters kill everyone all at once, there's no suffering.
So it could be a staging ground.
Maybe. It could also be simply the fact that he can't kill them, but he can turn on dev tools and drag them into the jail.
I mean, maybe they got caught using mods. You don't know. I don't know. I kind of think the Dark Lady's there. I mean, just like with Celeste, we got dragged into his base, his secret mountainside fortress, that he had control over because of blood magic that was running through the walls. He locked us into a cell, and in the adjoining room, locked in another cell, was Celeste, and he was siphoning power from her.
I'm half expecting to see his 3 other ex-girlfriends.
Oh, I can't wait to see them. I have business with them. But anyways, I'm just wondering if this is just a bigger version of his hideout.
Could be.
I start digging in the ground looking for pipes. No. I'm kidding.
You
Not
eventually
actually
find nothing.
On a nat 20, you find fiber optics.
My God, it's
However,
Westworld.
yeah, I was gonna say, you find fiber optics. However, they are entirely controlled by Spectrum and therefore only work like 3% of the time. All the rest of the time, you have to use dial-up. Love you, Spectrum.
I mean, I think we had Demise and Ford. have a chat with his dwarf friend, see why he's so kind, because that sounds suspicious.
You'd be Ebenthorn, by the way, not Meisenford.
Ebenthord, sorry.
They're just negative names in general, so.
But we go pay the dwarf a visit. If then we start heading eastward.
We could do that. Could we see
I'm-
the map of Kushitalia again?
Oh, I don't have you guys on that. Sorry.
That's okay.
There we go. I
Ironically, I was just pulling mine up.
actually on the map, and I thought everyone was. So no, there you go.
So-
Excellent.
Are we in Ilmorn or Meisenford right now?
You are currently, technically, you are currently in the forest over here. So you're technically north of Midwell, because you went into the forest here, you went across the bridge here, and then the party itself was happening somewhere in here. You guys actually don't know what part of the forest you're in, but
Oh, by the way, Rowan, we killed the river.
I'm sorry. Is this Journey Quest now?
we
Yes. Thank you.
we fought the river and we won, and it died.
I feel that's not something you should be bragging about.
I just wanted to let you know because you probably noticed the river wasn't really flowing. That's why.
Well,
It's kind of more like a long pond now, isn't it?
I'm open to suggestions.
Well, going to Ebenthorn is a bit of a trek. Hitting up Scornmote or for Demise Gate is a bit closer. Or Demise Tower, not Demise Gate.
And Commander came through at Klausgate, didn't he? That's where he
That's
met
what
with his
he's-
family.
That's what he said, yes.
And you said siblings, correct?
That's what he told me, his sister and his brother.
And that matches up with what? And I forgot the name that I gave her already. Edith. Yes, thank you. That matches up with what Edith said about there being two that are sharing power.
Yeah.
So I think we know where the generals are. We just got to know where their pets are.
There's the one with the dragon, possibly the two friendly dwarf, and then Commander's siblings.
Correct. So we camp down for the night, get a good night's sleep, good night's rest, and then set out in the morning for Scornmote.
I'm okay with that.
No, I think that where I was.
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yes, Scorn Mode is where the Church of the Dark Lady was.
I mean, we will have to be killed for the we did face our thoughts at Cornwall, so
I mean, the head priest, General, the Dark Lord guy, shouldn't really be there after the stunty bolt.
Shouldn't be, but
I did say that it's something to think about before we start to the frontier.
I mean, the
Yeah,
guard
yeah.
kind of liked us.
Is it possible that they would die and maybe we were keep it that way?
yeah, that's It's true. The guards did kind of dump us in the webwood.
Yeah.
That was a fun time.
Yeah, very fun.
I mean, we could be very careful. We could avoid Scorn Mode altogether. It's kind of a trek from Scorn Mode to Demise Tower. We could go through Claw's Gate to Demise Tower.
Yeah.
We can do that. Take out the siblings while we're there.
Do we have an idea of, like, just thinking about it, where the dragon flew towards Jody when it left Claw's Gate? Scorn Mode, I mean?
When you guys were there, the dragon went to the northeast. As it effectively came from the west and kind of flew over Scorn Moat, peppered it with a bunch of fireballs and things like that, and then just continued going.
Okay.
It took a couple of passes, but as far as you guys are aware, it left towards the northeast.
Okay. You have any ideas, Roland?
From what I can tell, obviously, I think from the discussion we've had with your friend, whichever option seems best to going to Demise Tower, where all the worst monsters are imprisoned.
The closest city to Demise Tower is Scornmount,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
which is the only city that is allowed to worship the Dark Lady.
My understanding, falsely worship.
Falsely,
Yeah.
but there's a connection there.
More of a connection to him, I would imagine. Unless for those that are connected to her.
I
I
mean,
mean,
I don't know. I'm just. I
when
just keep coming back.
I went to it definitely felt like felt like everyone thought it was the Dark Lady. It wasn't until I did everything do that they will review it now, but
yeah, and he tried burning that kid, and like he was able to free the kid, but then I was gonna get burned, and then Henri
yeah.
like jumped in front of the way.
I mean, I not saying don't go there, if we do it, should have a prayers to the gods who they were done. Only the crewman and the
So I guess well, first of all, I would imagine if we approach this as step by step, we'll have to go to Middenwell first, yes? And then from there choose whether Scornmote or Klausgate, which seems to be whichever choices will then lead to the Demise Tower. I guess I'm trying to understand, do we know I'm playing a bit of catch up here. What will be waiting for us in Scornmote versus Klausgate, whichever would be more preferable for us?
How we left Scorn Mode is that we revealed the general. He summoned an undead dragon. He basically burnt down the temple to the whatever temple they had there. It was in ruins. They were really mad at us, so they faked killing us, and then the people who liked us faked killing us, and then left us in the webwood so that we could escape. The church, normal church members, probably still mad at us. Civilians, I don't know.
But fair point, we now have someone who's actually a worshiper of the Dark Lady.
I kept my head down when I went through there to find you.
Mm.
You actually wouldn't have gone through Scorn Moat?
Oh, not at all, because I
No.
remember we were talking about tracking him down, the places I would have had to have gone through.
Yeah, because you started in Meisenford, you would have gone south to Ebenthorn. You would have you would have avoided Klausgate because Klausgate, nobody technically lives there. The streets are abandoned 100% of the time, and anyone that shows up on the streets gets killed. And then would have gone through the Webwood to Middenwell, and then to Ilmorn. Scornmote just wouldn't been on your path to get to Ilmorn.
Okay.
So you're saying you don't want to become the head of the Church of the Dark Lady?
I have spent the better part of my life hiding the fact that I have not only been a follower of the Dark Lady, which is not frowned upon strictly in the strictest sense, but that I had a divine connection to her.
Okay, that's good information to know.
Frankly, that was actually my first time openly using my abilities in front of so many people.
So you are not on a mission to convert everyone. You're not a missionary of the Dark Lady.
It's always my belief that whether you worship her or not, you meet her eventually, whether you want to or not.
Got it.
At this point, you guys are starting to feel kind of the weight of the day finally catching up with you. Your eyelids start to become relatively heavy. You can see everyone else has effectively gone to sleep. You do see a few people have decided to set up a watch. Though compared to how this place felt when the Major Domo was here to how it feels now, you almost think the watch isn't necessary. But you are all able to kind of lie down and finally get some sleep.
Before that happens,
Okay.
I'm going to tell everyone, I'll see you all in the morning. Something I need to do, and I'm going to catch up with my sister a little bit.
Okay.
And I'll kind of go find her.
Mm-hmm.
And just say, hey, would you mind helping me with something real quick?
And she looks at you like you're nuts, and then goes, "Okay."
All right. So, I know we used to do those things, like our little rituals when we were younger. You know, casting spells and things. I want to try that again. I have an idea. Just go with me.
You know though, those are kids' games, right?
I know, but humor me.
Okay. But I barely remember them.
Okay. Just be here with me a little bit. It's been a long day. And I will begin carving out a circle
Okay.
in the ground, and I will spend the next 10 minutes and cast scrying.
Okay. What are you attempting to what are you attempting to scry?
I am going to scry on Leopold.
Okay. Remind me, if you scry on someone unwillingly, that's a save of some sort, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, they have a whole table for like modifiers for scrying.
Yeah. I'm not gonna deal with
So-
that. I just what's your DC right now?
It is spell save. I think Wisdom 18.
Wisdom 18. Okay, cool. So, as you sit there and you focus on this circle, describe the circle itself, because where you guys are right now is basically kind of packed earth, because so many people have been walking on it. There's no grass or anything here.
I mean, I think you've said they took the embers from the big bonfire
Mm-hmm.
and made little smaller campfires from it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming that the big bonfire is out.
For the most part, yeah. The ground would still be probably a little bit warm, but...
So yeah, I will go and I will carve the circle in the ashes.
So as you kind of do this, one of the kind of more unique things about it is as you move the ashes and draw, the ground underneath it is significantly lighter than you would expect. Like the rest of the ground here is kind of this like dark clay color, but as you do that, the ground underneath it is this kind of deep reddish brown, earthy color that against the kind of blackened soot of the campfire almost glows with just how much of a different color it is. And so as you kind of draw it out, you kind of have this red tinged circle. And as you look into the ashes themselves, the ashes start to kind of glisten. And then they almost look like they're becoming obsidian as this kind of layer of glass forms over the ashes. And then the obsidian starts to fade. The deep black of the obsidian starts to fade and become more and more translucent. And as you start looking in and start kind of focusing on Leopold, you hear your sister scream, and you see in the scrying pool that you've just created is a face wreathed in darkness, eyes glowing with hellfire, little bits of flame coming out of it, and you see it look directly at you, lock eyes with you. You feel your heart stop for just the briefest of moments, and then your sister screams, and you literally fall backwards. You feel yourself falling, and then the ground comes up and smacks you in the back, and then everything's off. As you look up, you see this kind of explosion as bits of obsidian are blown in every direction. And you look back at your scrying circle, and it is not there anymore. There is a crater. I rolled a nat 20.
Okay, well, I'll just... Did I recognize any of the features of that face? No?
Because you've dealt with it, it looked remarkably similar to the Shadow Beast. As you guys have decided upon naming it.
Damn it. I'm sorry, everyone. That was a... Just, don't worry. It's a little excitement. I was just trying some...
Argenta rolls over. Arcane bullshit.
Arcane bullshit.
She nods, rolls back over.
You hear a couple words that you kind of make a mental note to commit to memory, because these are insults you have never been called before. And it's just impressive that people still have new ones to come up with.
That's... I'm gonna have to...
A couple of them relate to relationships that you've had with various creatures.
That's a new one. I hadn't heard that. We'll we're sorry. Just... And I'll take Senna and find out where she's camping, and just... We'll sit down, talk.
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of reminisce.
Shortly after getting back, she kind of goes, it's really late, and she very quickly falls asleep.
I'll just kind of stay up and watch her sleep a little bit then,
Okay.
and fall asleep.
So, the night passes. All of you are able to sleep without too much difficulty, but when you wake up, you all feel kind of unsettled, like you had a nightmare that you just can't remember. Other than that unsettling feeling, there doesn't seem to be any negative effects. It just feels awkward. When you wake up, you can see most of the campsite or the campsites have been packed up. You can see, as you guys wake up, you can actually see there's one group of people that have already kind of banded together and are getting ready to kind of go out into the forest to find things to make a more kind of permanent settlement here. I can't remember if we had this conversation last time or not, but the people have decided that returning to Ilmorn may or may not be the best idea, but this forest seems safer than anywhere else, so they've decided that they are going to build a kind of permanent camp here.
Yeah, that was last. That was.
Yep. And they've also
Last
kind
session.
of recommended to you that if you want to send more people their way, they think they will be safe here.
Okay.
And for no reason any of you guys can explain, you think so too.
I believe my uncle said that he's going to make sure that no one here suffers.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, they're going to be as jovial as they can be. So, sure, that won't attract attention.
Obviously, not. In a world of suffering, joy never attracts attention. So, anything else you guys want to do before you head off towards Minwell will be your first as a stop?
Well, Rowan will always do. It will always be his thing if he can do it in regards to, because I'm guessing we had the long rest.
Yippers.
So I'll just click that. Thanks, D&D Beyond. Where he will always do his, even though he can't acquire new spells, he still will maintain he will go his rituals and practices, because he does still feel his connection to the Dark Lady. Then when he's doing that, especially when he'll actually help the camp prepare as best they can, and if he can, he will also cook for his party.
Definitely. Again, now that everything else, you don't quite have as much access to as many ingredients as you've had previously, but they are fresh. Hunting parties go out. There's a few kind of gathering parties that brought back some fruit and that. So you are able to make a pretty hearty meal for your group.
Yeah, so I imagine whatever I can make, especially for the starting morning, and obviously, since it's always have the one additional, make for Vala's, either for Vala's uncle or Vala's sister, whoever sits down with us first.
Mm-hmm. I'll say your uncle was gone before you woke up to go out with hunting parties. Like, he's kind of taken a very active role here, and so he just doesn't seem to have time for breakfast. But
Right.
Senna would have very gladly joined you.
Okay. So, just for starters, once again, everyone who partakes will get 5 temporary hit points.
Nom nom.
Cool.
I just like the idea of food being so nourishing it gives you more.
I don't know what spices or how you do it, but this is delicious.
Herbalism kit.
I will tell you this, Rowan. I was a little harsh on you yesterday because of everything that happened, but you're the only person in this godforsaken place I will eat food from. I have eaten nothing but rations for months.
Rowan tries to smile at Argenta, but then just simply nods and goes back to finishing his meal.
Okay. So, as you guys are kind of wandering, eventually, you guys are going through the forest itself, and again, one of the big changes that you guys notice is the last time you were here, it felt very much like when Vala got lost in the maze with the fairies, where paths didn't quite go the way that they were really supposed to, and you felt like you were. Now it feels like regular woods. Like there's a direction you can go, and so every so often you guys will lose sight of each other as you're going. Not for extended periods of time, but there'll be a couple trees in the way, and you're not all like standing right next to each other to avoid things like fireballs. And during one of those things, Argenta, as you're going, you suddenly feel a presence behind you, and your training kind of kicks in. You draw your frost dagger, bring it around, and you bring it up to the neck of Henri, who is standing there kind of stoically, not confrontation or anything, just standing there waiting for you to take the dagger away.
I just kind of look at him like, don't sneak up on us like that. And then I put the dagger away.
Something's different. I wanted to tell you because I think you and I have gone through some similar things, but I can't travel with you guys right now, and it's important.
He nods. How is it different?
Something about what I did for him when I was with him, and the fact that I broke the pact. And he looks around, and you see him kind of extend the whip from his bracer and kind of twirl a little bit. This world is treating me differently than you guys. And I need to figure out why. But something big is about to happen, and you guys need to be ready for it. I wanted to let you know.
All right.
And the priest guy. Be careful with him, okay? I don't know why, but something about him is very, very different. Just be careful, all right?
Careful as we can be.
And as you say that, he fades into smoke.
That's different.
And a few moments later, you can see the rest of your party through the trees.
Did the rest of you see Henri?
Not since. Well,
I-
since the first time we burnt down the city. Why?
I just saw Henri.
Where is he?
So I lost sight of you guys, and then someone was behind me. I drew my dagger, sneak up on me. You don't sneak up on me. It was Henri. He told me that the world was treating him differently than it's treating us, and that something big is going to happen, and we need to be ready for it. And when I told him that and he asked us to be careful, I told him we'll be as careful as we can be because we're never careful. And he just kind of disappeared into smoke, and you guys came back.
How, how do we know it was Henri?
Yeah, that was to be my fault.
I don't know. I mean, he used the whip thing.
Hmm. I mean, it's not bad advice.
But apparently something's gonna happen soon. He was very vague on that. She shrugs.
So he's been hanging out with Edith.
Yes, he's gone to the Edith School of Premonitions.
Oh. Well, did he at least look good? Has
Did
he been
he?
eating?
Did he look alright? The same as always?
Thinking back to the situation, you realize something about him. Like, he looked almost in peak condition. Like, he looked great. And thinking back to it, he almost had like a sheen to him. Like, he almost glowed. He looked so good.
It kind of looked like he had a nutritionist and has been getting in some, like daily exercise and 8 hours of sleep and all of that.
Eight hours
He's
sleep must
definitely
be
been
nice.
doing CrossFit. Like,
Ugh.
it's, I mean, it just, the only reason you're not sure if he was doing CrossFit is he didn't tell you that he was doing CrossFit.
If he didn't
Well,
tell
then
us
he
was
wasn't.
doing,
Yeah.
he wasn't doing CrossFit then. He didn't bring it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he found something that's actually better than CrossFit. Maybe,
That-
again, you would have thought he was vegan, but again, he didn't say anything, so he couldn't be. I'm just gonna shit on as many people as I can.
No, you don't shit on. It's not shitting on vegans. It's shitting on people who are informing you about veganism every chance they get.
The militant vegans. Just to keep things rolling. Anything else you guys want to do before you continue on, or any other conversations you want to have?
I'm assuming I did say goodbye to my uncle and sister.
Yeah,
and-
definitely. You would have.
I'm good then.
I would say when you guys left, you may not have had a chance to physically say goodbye to your uncle because he was gone when you left, but you would have been able to leave a message with Senna or someone else.
Yep.
So, it takes you the better part of the day to finally get to the point where you were no longer in the forest, and then Middenwell itself is about 3.5 days journey from then, if that's where you guys want to go. But unfortunately, that is where we're going to end it for today. As always, if you missed any of this episode, I do upload them all to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/TrainerJody. Otherwise, again, that is all for me today. I'll see you guys in the next time, all right? Bye-bye.